Hi, I'm Empress Rose, and welcome to our collective reading. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for being here. And any interaction with the channel is great. Does it keep me in the algorithm? I don't know, but it's good. It's nice. I appreciate it. We're starting off today a little unusually. We're starting off with the goddess, journey to the goddess realm. I'm going to pick one goddess now and then one goddess for later during our to-do list. And that's going to be more about what you are part of your to-do list, what energy you need to embody, what goddess you're calling on. And this first bit is more about what's present. What's the energy that we have present right now? So, we got anger. Okay. Fire. Fire is quite a theme right now. But Mawika, actually, I want to pause this card right now and talk a little bit more about, well, a little bit at all about the preparations for this this thing. There were some images that came in as I was meditating. Not so much images as words. One of the words was fairground, which of course is like fairgrounds, summer, our fairs and all of that, usually later in the summer, but fairground. But then it also came across as two words like fairground, and like this place is fair, this place is balanced, this place is almost like a, what do you call that? Like a between two countries, like the between North Korea and South Korea, that like land in between. This fairground. It's I wish I could remember the name right now, but I can't. So, and then the next thing was a rest stop, and it was rest stop, but it was a rest stop. It was a physical highway rest stop off of a highway. And this is probably a really specific message, and I think I just want to get it out of the way. Yeah, it has to do with Mawika. And someone was sort of relaxing there, stretching their legs, whatever, at the rest stop. And both fairground and rest stop seem very similar to me. My mind has equated them as like the same place, like a communal space where there is rest, fairness, peace. It's beautiful. But there's a sound in the woods, and it just doesn't seem like there's enough woods for there to be a sound. This person that I'm seeing, they go look into the woods, and they find a person there, and it's not going to be a pleasant memory. You know, going into it, that this is not something you actually do want to see, and I don't know why I'm receiving that message. Hopefully, it's helpful to somebody. Okay. You're hesitant for a reason to go look and see what's making that sound. That's a reason for that. And then we're gonna go, so I'm just gonna put that over there and hopefully it finds the right person. And, thanks for letting us pause for whoever that message is for. So Mawika. So this is about not wasting your energy, not frittering away your energy, your passion, being a little more focused. Like, you can't get mad at everything. You're gonna have to pick and choose your battles. And there are things to be angry about and things to be upset about. But you are going to want to pick and choose those things. Because Mawika is a story about dissipated energy and unfocused anger and being frustrated at many different things rather than at the main thing. It's also a card about being gaslit a little bit, about somebody, about gaslit. Yeah, well, I mean, it's fire, gaslit. And it's somebody, though, is might be intentionally needling somebody else, and it's just really important to not waste your energy on that, on someone who knows how to get under your skin, on anybody that's trying to get under your skin. Like, it's really important to not waste energy on pointless anger when there is stuff to really be frustrated about and really be angry about. And it does have to do with fire. It is actually like the story of the little match girl, as far as like she's burning her matches, which she's supposed to be selling for short term. I mean, it's a sad story, but for short term warmth, to keep herself warm and to keep herself alive, she's using that where she's supposed to be selling the matches, but instead she uses them to keep herself alive. It's a very tragic story, again, though, about wasted resources, wasted energy, wasted power. So being very careful and judicious. There are times to be angry. There are times to act on that anger or have that anger inform decisions that you are making. But it's important to make that a conscious, intentional choice. Okay, so I'm going to then take this card, and it's going to be our to-do list later. Holy shit. Okay, I got a glimpse of it. Okay, all right. Well, if those images that were coming in through the meditation earlier were any indication there's some intensity to this reading, we're going to move to Moonology here. Just taking one card, apparently. Conclusions are within reach. Something's almost over. Whoa. This almost looks like jail to me. Like, it's almost over. They're almost in jail. The conclusion, right? The sentence being handed down, the end of something. It's full moon eclipse. An ending. But this ending comes with knowing. I think there's also consequences too. I mean, that's what's coming through here with this jail situation, is like consequences. Consequences coming in, conclusions. We know what needs to be known is known at last. Something wraps up. And then full moon eclipse is a pretty powerful energy. This thing is like, in the Moonology deck, it's like a major arcana, right? It's almost judgment card. Yeah, it's a major arcana judgment card. You know what? Okay, this is. And now Urban Crow Oracle. Yeah, it's a bit of a judgment card. Decisions from past actions being made. Being seen. Maybe somebody was angry and the consequences of that anger are coming back, or why you're angry. Maybe you were intuitively angry about something and you're finding out the rest of the story. Like something didn't sit well, and you're finding out the rest of the story. That could be it. Curiosity. Okay, this is a guiding force here. Moving towards something, and maybe this was what helps you find these conclusions, is you're going to have to be curious, go look around. It's reminding me of this time I had this, for a long time ago, I had this lawyer, and he was just such a bad lawyer. I couldn't believe it. I used to work in law, and I was like, how are you this bad? This is so bad. Are you working for them, like the other side? Are you getting kickbacks? And that seems so far-fetched, because like that seemed like just ridiculous. That's just a ridiculous idea. But every time I talked to him, I was like, that is really a bad idea. That is so bad. You just gave away all of my power. You just showed them all our cards. What are you doing? Anyway, like 5-10 years later, I just kind of was like, I wonder whatever happened to him. While he was representing me, he was currently being disbarred. Fully disbarred by the time he ended representing me. He was fully disbarred. So I was on to something. That's hard to do. You can't get fully disbarred for nothing. And so, yeah, so that's actually what I'm seeing here, is like maybe something you were a little bit frustrated about actually ended and had a conclusion. So that's like a metaphor for something where you're like, this seemed really off. This guy seemed off. The situation seemed off. You now have the ability to find out, but it may take some curiosity, right? I was just like, whatever happened to him? Like, he was so bad. Is he still practicing law? And just the way the situation was, it was too late to jump ship and end up someplace else. So I was just kind of stuck watching this like terrible lawyer. And so, so we have this curiosity, like go exploring, go figure out what's available. Maybe there's opportunities that you need to explore. Maybe there's a past, a history that you need to explore so that you can close off or understand and come to some sort of, it does seem like closure. Conclusions are within reach, does seem like closure. Closure on something that you found upsetting or was unfair, or somebody like that intentionally would like sort of hurt you, or intentionally pull pranks on you or do things to you that were very unpleasant. So there's something about sorting it out, and maybe you're just being curious about your own emotions around this, but you could be really curious about like whatever happened to that, how did that play out, like my example of the lawyer, which I haven't thought about in ages. So insight, this is so cool. Oh my gosh. Let's look at all these three together, like curiosity, insight, and growth. All three of these together. This is really cool. This is like last week we had that, memorization work, rehearsals, initial soft open, or the soft open of the play. And this is very similar, 3-stage energy here. We have the get curious, start snooping around. What you're looking for actually wants you to find it out. It's interesting. It's very real. This curiosity is very real. And the person being curious, this is so fascinating. I have a little statue of a crow that just like caught my attention, and it's in this stance too. And it's like right there, they're looking at each other. So that's what's making me think like, and it's what you're curious about is also curious about you. And that's not always the case, okay? But it seems very obvious now. There's a welcome, your curiosity is very welcome, actually. And there is a sense of stepping out away from the crowd with this curiosity. Like you're in a group, like you're in a large group, and then you're like, what's going on over there? Oh my gosh, just like in that park scenario, in that rest stop that I saw. It's like, what's going on over there? And you go over to see what's going on. You're not sure you want to know, but you do want to know. So that curiosity of like, what is that over there? So you leave this group, you leave, the common ground, the common area, and you go off to some other area to see what. This is, you're going to learn a lot over there. This curiosity will be rewarded. You are going to ask some questions, you're going to look or snoop around, and you're going to figure out, you're going to understand some things. And one thing I like about this shrimp here, all of this seems to have like brain imagery. Like the shrimp almost looks like a brain. This looks like a brain. Like your mind is going to be, I want to say discovered. Like you might discover something about how your mind works, because curiosity takes a lot of courage. We can't be curious without courage, because like I saw in that rest stop scenario, is like it could be anything you are finding. You may not like it. Like if you're exploring your own brain and you're curious about your own thought process, you may discover that you have you might end up with a diagnosis you weren't really excited about, or you might end up learning something about the way you operate that's not exactly the way your brain works, that isn't exactly what you wanted to hear. So you might see something that you don't want to see and that you were happier. Ignorance is bliss, and when we're curious, we can't stay in that ignorant, blissful state. We are going to find out, and it could be anything. This is saying that it's might be pretty cool, because where you end up is with its growth. So you have to have the courage to be curious. This is very courageous to step away from the group, to step into this unknown territory. It could be a trap, could be, you don't know what you're going to find here. It could be something scary and pretty unforgettable, like I saw in the rest stop. So but you got to have your curiosity to guide you. This curiosity is going to lead to insight. Like this is the story of the crow. They want the shrimp in the jar. They can't reach the shrimp, so they experiment. They get curious. How can I do this? And they figure out that putting rocks in this jar of water raises the whole level of the water, and then the shrimp becomes available. So there's really a lot of insight into something. This curiosity is very fruitful. You're going to get somewhere, but you are going to have some courage to look into something in order to gain that insight. Because once, it's like the tree of knowledge of good and evil or something. Like once you know, you can't go back to unknowing. Once you see the thing, in the woods next to the rest stop, you can't go back to unseeing the thing. It's something that you're going to know now. And then growth. There's so much growth here. So that's what's really interesting to me, is that I was like, how this seems, is that it's not it could not be scary too. That's the thing. You get curious. You learn something, you learn something. This conclusion is within reach. You get really curious. Maybe even you're curious about your own anger. Like, why was I so angry about that? Why was I so upset about that? You learn something and then you grow from it. So this is reminding me of that Maya Angelou quote of like, when you know better, you do better. So it's a little bit scary to find out you may have been doing something wrong, or you may have been mistaken about something. It's a little bit scary to look at that and to see that. But that's how we get to growth, especially personal growth, or growth even in our relationships, is by being curious about what's going on, allowing that insight to come up, being open to insight, being open to realizations that we didn't know before. And some of them might be unpleasant, but this is where growth comes from. This is how we can level up and emerge, is by taking that really great look inside, a courageous look at something that, and it's maybe isn't inside, it could be outside, it could be courageously getting curious about someone around you. Like, why were you so angry about that? Or why is this person angry all the time? Or, and then understanding, maybe that has nothing to do with you. And then the growth, could be any number of ways to deal with it. You may have to grow and become bigger than this issue that's bothering you, or this person, or something like that. You may end up having to grow into a position where you're removing yourself from a situation because you're too big. It's not meeting your needs anymore. This growth card, especially with the birds here on the branch, and this sort of fledgling growth, leveling up, next level of growth, is reminding me of how a chick emerges from the egg. Like we crack an egg from the outside, we kill what's inside, but we allow that thing to unfold very naturally, to come out on its own. Then we have a new life. Then we have this new level and stage of growth, but it does have to come naturally and in its own time. The other thing I want to say is how that chick breaks through that egg from the inside is because they no longer have food to sustain them on the inside of that egg, that they've eaten all the whites of the egg, or they've absorbed, or I don't know exactly how they get their nutrients inside the egg. But it's an instinct that's telling them they're hungry for more. They're hungry for something else. So this happens to us too, where we become very dissatisfied in the egg and we have to break free. So the curiosity might even be like, what's this pecking thing that I seem to want to do all the time? What is that? And then, oh, there's a crack. There's a crack in this shell. And then, oh my goodness, there's a whole new universe out here, and I'm ready for it because my curiosity prepared me for this. I have this pecking mechanism that's actually going to sustain me out here. Only it was this new weird thing I was doing inside the egg. So that's what I'm seeing here, which is kind of funny because that was not an expected thing to see in those three cards, but that's where we got. Okay, I'm using the Rider-Waite-Smith deck today. And just cutting the deck here from the bottom of the deck, 6 of Wands, victory. Victory. How do we win? What do we win? And this isn't just you. We have cards where it's like, I'm victorious, everybody else is the loser. And that's actually not real victory, because nobody else likes you then if everybody else is the loser. But when you win, everybody wins. When you do a good job, the whole thing thrives. When you do your job successfully, when you do this is everybody else. Like on any kind of group project, if you do your part of the group project really well, you're elevating the whole project. And maybe someone else falls down and doesn't do their job or whatever, but you did your part and it made it better. It would have been a lot worse if you'd fallen down and, not shown up, and they hadn't shown up either. It would be a lot worse. But you showing up makes everybody else happy and easier to show up too. So it's really like, yeah, you're the winner, you're the star, but everybody benefits. So this isn't one of those like, there are winners and there are losers, or everybody's a loser here. This is like, you're doing really good. So it has to do with maybe something you've succeeded in the past, or are currently working towards succeeding in. All right, High Priestess there at the bottom, intuition. Okay, past, present, inner landscape. What's the issue? Environment, to-do list, possible outcome. Interesting. Okay. All right, in your recent past, You've been poor, broke, broken, sick, injured, feeling sorry for yourself, and kind of legitimately so. I mean, people see this card sometimes. I've heard people be like, oh, they're feeling sorry for themselves. Yeah, well, look, it's snowing. There is a broken leg here. We've got absolutely horrible crutches, and then a no shoe on the broken leg. Like, yeah, there's lack here. And then right next to them is this big, giant, beautiful church with all the resources, with everything they need. And they're outside of that. They're not inside the church. They are out in the cold and they're feeling it. And yeah, we can really focus on that, but also it can be true that, you know, you have times when you're broker than other times, and you have times when you're sicker than other times. And yeah, we were on this sort of merry-go-round, and the ponies go up and down, and sometimes your pony is actually down while other people's ponies are up, and sometimes your pony is up and other people's ponies are down on this as we go around and around and around on this earth around the sun, right? The ponies go up and down, okay? It's almost giving like actually astrological issues. Like these, the planets move, the clock moves. It's not always the same. So this is a period of broke, lack, could be depression too. And I would say very legit depression. Like I think last week that came out too, as far as the teenage angst and stuff like that. Like this is not for no reason. There's like, to be happy in this situation would be really high level spiritual work that you have already done. And, you know, we aspire to that, to be happy no matter what our circumstances are. The circumstances are. That's what it's feeling like to me. Circumstances are. It's not just a focus somebody has. It feels very real to me. Like this has not been an easy path to go down. Oh my gosh. The Hierophant, same position as last time. Different deck, same position. What do we got here? So the Hierophant's the more traditional path, the structured path, the patriarchal path, right? And the High Priestess, who is on the bottom, they could be friends, but they're not. Because the High Priestess doesn't have a place in the church, doesn't have a place in structured, organized religion. The High Priestess is outside of that because they decided that it was against the rules to be a woman channeling, a tarot reader, a palm reader, intuitive, you know, this organization decided that one's out. So here you are outside the church, or this is someone who's outside the church, and here's the church sitting comfy, cozy, except for there's a lot of rules and regulations, and these people all look like they're comfy and cozy in this rich, warm organization. But the truth is they have a lot of rules to follow. They do not have freedom. They do not have freedom of thought even, or freedom of soul, which to me is the very first primary violation, boundary violation, is to tell other people what to believe. That's a boundary issue. That's in your soul, right? So if you don't believe tarot, it's no skin off my nose. It's your soul. It's what you believe. And it would be a total boundary violation for me to sit there and be like, you have to believe what I believe, because that's not what I believe. So that puts me in High Priestess camp. That's not what these people believe. Jack just scared the crap out of me. That's not what these people believe. They believe that they are on the right path, and no matter how restrictive it is, no matter how much self-discipline or externalized discipline is required inside this church. So these people are feeling bad that they're outside. These people are following the rules, they're getting the promotions, they're inside, but there's no... I just want to say, like, it just doesn't seem like these people are very happy either, right? Yeah, they may be warm, they may have their butts covered, they may be, but the strict, regimented situation that they're in is not better. I mean, it is maybe somewhat better, but it just seems so juxtaposed. Outside the church, everybody's miserable. Inside the church, people are miserable, but in a different way. I want to say at least these people, like, have some level of freedom, but do they? They don't have financial freedom, but neither do these. They all have to follow the rules. They all have to join in with what's going on with this Hierophant. It's not, so there's very structured organization. Is it bad? No, not terribly bad, because these people aren't out here on crutches in the cold, hungry, starving, left out. They are inside, but it is kind of to say like, hey, temper your idea of what's on the other side of people, two people having very different experiences on the other side of this wall. Neither one of them is the world's best, greatest experience, right? So being in the in crowd isn't what it seems like. Yeah, you may be on the outside, you may be the outcast, but the incast group is also not having a good time. It just reminds me of like popularity in high school, where you know you have the in crowd or whatever, the popular kids. As we know from Queen Bee and Wannabe, those kids are not having a good time and are not well adjusted and are not really having a great time and probably going to end up in therapy. So these other kids over here that aren't popular, are outcasts, they're also going to have to, I mean, just basically when I see teenagers, sometimes I see people that are living through experiences that are going to take a lot of help and work to unravel for a majority of teenagers. People always tell them like, welcome to the real world or whatever, and it's like, yeah, this is super real, and in fact you and I both know that these kids are going through some real stuff, both the ones that are on the in crowd and the ones that are on the outside, going through some real things that they're going to have to recover from. So Hierophant, I don't know how I got there from the Hierophant, but here we have some sort of organization, some sort of in crowd, but it's got rules. It's got rules that have to be followed, rules and regulations right here. It can also be Taurus energy. It can be priest, pastor, minister, anybody that's the head of an organization with a lot of rules. Military, could be military leadership too. So in your hopes, your fears, your inner landscape, reunion, childhood, maybe you want to go back to childhood. This is a very teenagery reading in some ways. Especially with this Mahwika here too, with this like frustration, undirected, unfocused frustration. So hopes, fears, and inner landscape, you might want to reunite with someone. You might be wanting to go back to someone. Could be, Hierophant can also talk about marriage, institution, the institution of marriage. So there could be something about, it was really bad though. Like somebody's really broke, but now there's like this institution situation. So maybe actually I'm seeing this as someone getting help from an institution. Like maybe the doors are open. Maybe then now they haven't been able to get this help before, and now they are getting the help. And yeah, they might have to fill out a lot of paperwork for the help. It might be rules and regulations guiding the help, but they're accessing, this reading goes from outside to inside. And there could be wanting to go back or wanting to reunite with someone, or wanting to, missing somebody, wanting to reunite with someone. Childhood, wanting to go back to being a kid and being taken care of. There's like age differences here. There's like a mother and a child is very, like, she's grown, but the child looks grown, like a really tall kid or something. And wanting that, but there's this really strict organization. That's what I want to say. There's a really strict organization, and it kind of divides people into winners and losers. And there's something about this, about wanting to go back to the past, wanting to go back to your childhood, wanting to reunite with some people, maybe even wanting to go to a reunion. This could be a school situation, even though you were an outcast, wanting to go to the reunion, wanting to reunite with someone. But there's also this sense of a mother or a grandmother wanting to reunite with their grandson somehow. That seems really specific to maybe not everybody, but that desire. The desire is for peace, happy reunion. And maybe that's even what we're talking about here, is like understanding what happened. Like maybe you don't get to go back all the way, even though that's what you want, but maybe you can find some insight and some understanding if you really are honestly curious about what happened. So it could be also wanting to reach out from someone that you were an outcast with, or you were broke with, or someone that you cast out, that you rejected, or that they rejected you. There's something about this Hierophant in the middle though, looks like marriage, institution, but wanting to go back to the time when you were broke, maybe before this institution. Like if you became a nun, you kind of want to go back to someone that you were broke with, out on the street with, or something. That's the vibe. Probably not the specific situation, but the vibe. Knight of Wands reversed is going to be, whoosh, we had Knight of Wands was our action last time. This is inaction, not listening to intuition, not taking chances. Somebody's not taking chances. So you may long for something, for someone, but no one's taking the chance. No one's taking a risk. It's very risk averse situation here. Nobody's taking any risks. Especially these people are not taking risks. These guys may be in lockstep and maybe wanting to go back to a simpler time, wanting to reverse back, but nobody's going to take the risk to go back to here. It's like you were super broke and you joined the military. Now you want to go back to being a kid again. You don't want to be here, but you're not going to risk anything to end up back here, right? So now you're in some sort of institution. Maybe you join some kind of institution, but you don't want to risk losing everything again because you already did that one time. You were already maybe homeless one time, or you were whatever. So you're going to follow the rules because there's a risk aversion here. Someone's risk averse. In your environment, someone's about to, it's almost over. The situation, conclusions are within reach. Absolutely. Look, it's like even got wands all through here. And the Nine of Wands, they're home, they're almost at the end of their journey. The load has gotten very heavy and they're almost ready to put everything down and drop it and let it go. So conclusions are within reach. This is very energetic. This is like the heavy energy is coming to an end. It's almost time to put it down. Right, we have this like separation from the rest of life. So this is a limited time situation and it's about to be released, but not quite yet. It's not quite yet time for this burden to be released, for this difficulty to be let go of. We're not there yet, but we're getting there, right? The conclusions are within reach. It's not that they're here already, but they are coming in. We're gonna have to get curious about some things. We're gonna have to look into some things. We're gonna have to learn some things, and then we're gonna have to grow past some things. But this is the environment. So the environment is really supportive of letting go of some perhaps past anger, right? These wands can be seen in some decks. They are depicted as matchsticks. So, wow, there's wands. So this is about energy. This could be about anger. This could be about passion. This could be about spirituality. And we have this like big, heavy, external, rule-based casing or shell around spirituality, right? The spirituality is supposed to be at the center of this organization, but oftentimes organizations sort of lose their mission to the organization itself, to organizing without, and the mission, the high priestess we saw in the back, the spirituality, the disorganized, not disorganized, but the free-flowing spirituality gets lost. So we are, the dam was built to harvest and harness this energy, but sometimes the dam becomes more important than energy, right? We may be able to now get energy someplace else, but the dam still exists because people just like the tradition of dams. So the dam stands infinitely, blocking the way of the salmon wanting to go upstream. It's not needed anymore, but so the focus is less on the spiritual flow and the energy in the water and in the gravity, but the natural energy inherent in our universe, and is more focused on how are we harvesting that energy, but not even how are we harvesting the energy, we're just more focused on the dam. So the Hierophant can represent a strong focus on the structure and not on the energy within the structure. This reading is very much, we have 4 wand cards here. It's very much more about the energy and the flow. So this to me looks like the dam's about to break and about to burst. And that energy is going to be able to flow again. So something is sort of coming to an end, an era, an issue, a blockage, right? The dam, the blockage is coming to an end, and things are about to flow a lot better than they have. This Hierophant, these rules and regulations, have been sort of blocking some kind of flow, the paperwork, that kind of thing. But it's almost over. That part's almost done. So if you've been like buying a house or something, the paperwork issues and all of that are almost done. So that's sort of the metaphor I'm seeing here. And you may be regretting even starting this journey and wanting to go back to the beginning. So Oya, change. This is you. I think this is like the third week out of 4 where you are the change. Oya, storm. You are the storm, you are the change. And Oya and Mahwika together in the same reading, that's almost like, what did we have? We had Lilith and Kali together, same energy. So actually, it's pretty much exactly the same. Lilith and Kali right here. We have change, volatility. So you're channeling, though, this anger, clearing the air. That's also what this can be, especially with this conclusions idea, clearing the air with this energy all here, right? And she's got lightning, and we've got these wands, which are energy and lightning. And so using your energy, harnessing your energy, changing something up, clearing the air, having the conversation, opening something up. Yeah, being a lot more like, I love the electricity coming in here with all these wands. And Mahwika, both of these are wand energy, this electrical, fire, intense energy. They are, yeah, there's a change coming, and it's you, and you are either using some kind of energy and directing it. I want to say like firebenders, but you're using the electricity in the environment, you're using the situation, the energy in the environment, and you're very much channeling it in a focused way towards the change you want to see, right? We've already talked about that, like change is happening anyway. So directing it more towards something that you're interested in. So maybe there's a lot of like upheaval around, a lot of frustration, a lot of upheaval. And that's a really big opportunity to, like, if change is happening, then you have the ability to get what you want out of it, or to, when there's upheaval, you can take advantage of that to make the world more what works for you, more what you value, more what you think is the right way to go. 5 here, competition. Get competitive, fight for your right, basically fighting for your rights. This is pretty non-violent, though. I mean, it looks violent, but they're just play sparring. It's nobody's really getting hurt here. So enter the fray for the change you want to see here. Yeah, both of these have energy, fractiousness, debate, taking action towards what you want, being the change you want to see in the world. But you're going to have to fight for it. You're going to have to be competitive. You're going to have to be smart. You're going to have to use all your skills, and you're going to have to know that everybody else is coming from a different direction with different things. Like these two people and these two people are going to have a real hard time relating. They have very different methods. These people, they have different worldviews, different methods, different worldviews. And here you are. This card always reminds me of, like, people have different goals, and also people have different strategies for reaching those goals. So some people may have the exact same goal, but their strategies for reaching those goals are really, really different. So you are meant to come in here with what you want, with your perspective, with your goals, and make a big go of it. Like try to make the changes that you want. Get in there, join the brawl, jump in to the melee. She's got a whip. She's channeling electricity. She's got a whip. We've got this water buffalo. I don't know, that seems important though. There's a water buffalo back here. Storm energy and debate energy, competitiveness. I think you're watching something. Like, this guy's either going to drop all these in the middle of nowhere or at home. He's either going to make it or he's not, but he's about to drop everything if he doesn't get to where he needs to go. And I think that you might be seeing an opportunity in that level of, yeah, take an opportunity. And don't be shy. It's an elbows out situation. So elbows out, you're being a little bit aggressive, actually. And you are creating change. You're pecking that shell open. So if this is personal change, you're pecking that shell open. You're cracking it open. And your voice, you're making your voice heard. Possible outcome, Knight of Pentacles here. Plans. So that's where we're going. It's like you make your voice heard. You say what you need to say. You get in there. You say what you want out of a situation. And then this Knight of Pentacles is planning, looking towards the future, planning concrete. And now how is this going to happen? Because this is all energy and passion. And this whoop brings it all into earth. Okay, what are the next steps? We're going to have a passionate push. And then now we get serious about next steps. We get serious about planning. We get the lay of the land. This is the passionate, energetic push forward. And then this is, it's like this push, and then it hits almost a brick wall, but it's actually not a brick wall. It's a state of planning and preparation that looks like a brick wall, but it's not. It's planning and preparation. It's this fast, slow energy again this week of this. And this is you making some changes, competitive. It's like you're going to have to argue or debate, or at least like throw in your 2 cents pretty strongly. And with a goal in mind. You're not just like gossiping about someone. You're saying like, hey, this person can't do this, or this was not going to work for me, or whatever, if this happens. So you're doing that fairly strongly, energetically. And then this is not wait and see, but this is you have to say what you want here, and it's in a very focused way, in a very clear way. And then this is planning for what you want, focusing on what you want. This could also be someone else who comes in with that planning energy, with that grounded energy that's like, okay, and they look like they're not doing anything. So you may come forward like, hey, this is what I want. I want to join this. This could even be putting your hat in a ring for something, applying for something. And these people take a long time to decide. This person may not decide. You may actually kind of feel like you're hitting a brick wall here, but it has that sensation of like, you get excited, you push something out there, and foomp, this is going to take a long time because the Hierophant's actually in charge, and this is the way we roll. One spoke at a time. Like, we do not move fast. This organization can't move fast. It's not built to move fast. So maybe it's someone from this organization who's going to move very slowly, maybe sit on some information, maybe sit on something, but there is a look towards the future. There is looking towards the future. There is planning for the future, planning for growth, just no movement, which has got to be super frustrating because we have all of this movement, all this Wands energy, and this is just like a stone through the water of just, and they're not going to move on it. They're either not going to move on the information you're giving them, or they're not going to move right now or right away, or they think a lot of stuff has to happen first, and they're maybe planning for something, but maybe even it's like getting your idea for the plan in there. Like, this could be a farmer, and you're like, what if we plant this, this, and this? And like a couple people have opinions on what they want to plant, but this farmer's like, yeah, well, we're not planting yet. It's fall, but I will keep that under consideration, which could be really frustrating. Okay, I was trying to keep this under. So we have the Wild Kuan Yin, oasis of hope. Look at the farmer analogy with this like trough here, this dry trough. The successes that seem impossible are all the more precious for their unlikelihood. These are reminders of divine power, the triumph of hope, the winning against the odds. Remember that life thrives hidden even in the desert. Do not give up hope. Believe in the inevitability of your beautiful destiny. It can be very hard to not give up hope, especially if you express this and it meets with this kind of energy. It can be really difficult. And I feel like, the longer you go, the harder it can be to hold on to your hope. But this is saying, yeah, we've got a dry riverbed here. The dry riverbed is waiting for that water. Because why? Because water has come before, water will come again. So don't give up. Don't start building houses in the riverbed because the water is coming. All right, and then an auspicious symbol. Cicada. This one makes the rounds. I've seen this multiple times this week, the cicada. I think we had it last week. Personal change is on the horizon. Yeah, don't give up hope, especially if it's about you and your own personal growth and your own personal growth journey. Do not give up hope on that. Personal change is on the horizon. Listen for cicada, for messages along the way. So this can also be about music. Again, we had that metaphor last week of the guy, not metaphor, but that experience of the man with the music on his wheelchair and staying alive and all of that. So listening for a special song, a unique song that helps guide you, that brings a special message. The situation around the song should be pretty special. I think also there could be an insect coming to tell you something, a little... not Geppetto, but the little cricket in there coming in to say something. Although I hated that whole movie. I don't know why I'm referencing it. It's a terrible, stress-inducing movie, and everyone would be like, it's Disney, you want to watch a cartoon? And I was like, oh my gosh, I would rather gouge out my eyes than watch Pinocchio. So, but there could be an insect here that has something to say, although that insect is... Anyway. Could be an insect with something to say here, or a song that you need to listen to. So there's a message somewhere, and personal change is on the horizon. Try not to give up hope, even though it's frustrating. And, just make sure if you're being competitive, if you're throwing your hat in some kind of ring. So, all right. I hope that was helpful for you. Thank you so much for joining me here and making it so that these readings, like you're bringing your energy for me to read, so it's giving me energy. I can't read a blank page, so I appreciate your energy coming into these readings and working together like this. And I hope you got something helpful out of this, something useful. Talk to you guys next time. Bye.